Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of E2C Network Live. This edition, as it has always been on Wednesday nights, is our Auburn family night where we get together and we just shoot the breeze about whatever it is that you want to talk about that's related to Auburn sports or otherwise. It's orange and blue. It is what we do. Let me go ahead and address the elephant. That's a bad word to use. Something obvious. We are doing this an hour earlier for those of you that are normal participants at our 8 o'clock time. We had to move it up to 7 for some scheduling reasons for myself this week. So we appreciate those of you that were able to adjust and still be here. And we also appreciate those of you that may come back on the replay. So however you got here, whether it was on YouTube, whether it was on Facebook, whether it was some other form or fashion, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, and we're excited to talk to you about what you want to talk about. Honestly, this is my favorite night every week because I don't have to prepare anything. I just show up and talk to you guys, and it is so much fun. I hope it is for you all as much as it is for me. So let's get this thing kicked off tonight. Start off by making sure that you smash the like button here on YouTube. You can do similar things on social media if you feel that we've earned that. That is a helpful thing for us. But we'd also like for you to start by posting in the comment section right now where you're watching from, your city, your state. If you're international, do that for us too. All of those things. Let's get this show started off right. And we'll say hello to a lot of you as we pop in, as you pop into the show tonight. Let me get the things started tonight. Obviously, we can hit any topic and we'll bounce around a lot tonight. So stay on the edge of your seats here because it can change at a moment's notice. Obviously, a lot has happened today. A lot of exciting things. Frank Thomas is going into the SEC Baseball Hall of Fame officially today. Greg Williams, Auburn's equestrian coach, is retiring but staying with the program in an emeritus role. Obviously, we're on the eve of the NFL draft. The Auburn Ambush events are starting across the Southeast with opportunities for the Auburn family to ask questions of Coach Pearl, Coach Freeze, and many others. And also, there's a lot of transfer portals talk still out there. So I'm sure those are some of the things that you're wanting to hit tonight, and we will definitely hit some of those things. So as you come in, if you do want to take opportunity to call the show, the link is posted here on YouTube. If you're watching this somewhere else, you'll have to come to YouTube to access that link and call in. We'd love to see some of your smiling faces tonight or hear your voices. It's brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. You can see their logo popping up there right now. So go ahead and call in right now if you'd like to. It's really easy, and we'd love to hear from some of you guys tonight. So there you go. There's your reminder right now. All right, what's on your mind? What do you want to hit first? Otherwise, I'm going to take it the direction that I want to talk about. Kenneth's already here. Good to see you checking in from Birmingham. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us tonight. Let me start off with, because I don't think we're going to have a lot of people requesting this tonight, but you know, one of our most storied programs and one of our most successful, if not the most successful program in Auburn is our equestrian program. Shocking news today, I think. Maybe not shocking. He had been around for 28 years and has decided to retire. Greg Williams, 6-time national championship, six or five? I think it's 6. I think it's 6-time SEC, 5-time national. Either way, many SEC titles, many NCEA titles. It's a little bit different for them. We are obviously so grateful for him and what he's provided to Auburn. So happy he's going to be staying around. I did not anticipate the news coming that he would retire, but, you know, it kind of felt like somewhere down the line, a few years or so, he might do it. Obviously felt like the program is where it needs to be for him to step forward. You often see this a lot too. When a new upper leadership moves in, you start to see some of the people that maybe been, and this is true of if it's business or things like that. When a regime shift happens, you see maybe people reevaluate things. Are they wanting a different thing, or are they ready to retire, such as this case? So I don't think that's an indicator whether they're unhappy with John Cohen or anything like that. I just think there's usually some type of correlation there. Change makes you reevaluate things. And so I think it's not a shock that you saw like Ralph Spry retire at the end of last year, the track and field coach, that you saw. But that was actually, I think that was before this one came in, but they probably knew the writing on the wall for that. Greg Williams now leaving or retiring, but not leaving. I'm just happy he's staying. So that's a good sign that he still likes being part of the university athletics programs, being involved in that, staying in emeritus role. What that means and what that looks like, I bet we'll see him at the Equestrian Center for every single meet still. But I wonder what they're going to do in terms of head coach and things like that. We already said hello to Thomas and Carrie J for checking in. Thank you guys for being here and appreciate you popping in with us over here. So I wanted to mention that at the start because I know that's not really front and center of a lot of people's minds, but you should because it's our most storied program, most successful program in history comparatively when you talk about proportions and things like that. Transfer portal stuff. Let me hit that, as I know that's on a lot of people's mind. If you listen to some comments that came out of the Atlanta Ambush, again, that's a alumni-driven event where they invite usually major head coaches and some other athletic department personnel to come speak. Some comments coming out of the Atlanta one where Coach Freeze specifically said it has been a slow start to the transfer portal to them, much slower than they anticipated. I think we all had this date in our mind of when the spring transfer portal was going to happen and all you know what was going to break loose. And it did in some ways for some people, but I guess a lot of us thought that there would be a lot more immediate attrition for Auburn. So far, they're sitting at 5. Is it 4 or 5? I can't remember now. People that have left the program, but nobody coming in. Now, there's people that are taking visits. There's people that they're talking with. But obviously, it has not maybe gone as quickly or has been as much hype around it as a lot of other people might have anticipated. Basketball has been kind of like a slow churn. They've been searching, connecting with people, and bringing them in. And if they can sell them at that point, they're committing. So an important time right now with Matthew Cleveland of FSU in town and potentially a guy that's going to fill one of these open slots. I have a video ready to go this week, kind of breaking down the roster numbers and things like that. If things don't change before maybe Friday, we'll put that out. Tomorrow we got an NFL draft video that we're going to put out for you guys. Just kind of and it's more of a professional football outlook for everybody who's eligible. It's got like a hair on me. That's gross. So back to the transfer portal conversation. Obviously a slow start, I think, for football, if a start at all. And then for basketball, it's just been kind of plugging and churning. There's still the speculation that the Texas Tech individual, I have not learned his name yet. I think I have it written down here somewhere. Jalen Tyson may be interested, maybe coming because of our new assistant coach. We didn't have an assistant coach last time we talked together, too. That's another news story. How do you guys feel about Corey Williams? That one feels like a really, 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 really good hire. Personally, for me, it does. So that's another storyline we could hit to if that's interesting to anybody out there. But right now, we're just kind of in a wait and see game. Coach Pearl said that he expects at least one more transfer, maybe 2. And it sounds very likely that he will have an extra scholarship available to utilize in whatever way he feels necessary. But he even has mentioned has done this in the past for a walk-on. I think, you think about Patrick Keim, Leor Berman, several others out there who have received, I think Chandler Leopard as well, received scholarships later on as walk-ons. WT, what's going on? Thanks for being here. Good to see you at a little bit earlier time this week. So I know it's a little bit odd. It feels weird to me because we made the switch this week because of my schedule. and it's already getting used to like seeing light outside still because of the changing seasons, but it's even lighter than it normally is when I'd be doing this show. So it's kind of like, am I on the right show right now? Am I supposed to be doing this right now? So anyway, yeah. So transfer portal stuff, it does feel like it's kind of, there was this build towards it, and then it just fell off, the excitement level of it. I posted this on my personal Twitter account. You can follow me at Kyle Loomis 24. I'm trying to be more active on there for you guys, but I stay active mainly managing the E2C network stuff. But I posted, it just feels dead in terms of Auburn stuff right now. Now, today is a proof that there's still more going on than we think there is sometimes. But we have entered that period where outside of baseball and softball, and then there are still tennis and golf and track and field still going, but all the other major sports have wrapped up for the year. They've done their banquet. They did the Auspies already this week, which is like their version of every college, it seems like, and they all did it on the same night, apparently. Like Georgia Tech did theirs. Mississippi State did theirs. I saw that one. A few others. They're special, we're going to give out these awards, peer voted things, all those, best male athlete, best female athlete of the year award. That all happened for us and for others this week. But outside of that, it feels like it's starting to really wind down. And in a year that's been very, and this is no disrespect to any one program or individually, but a very pedestrian year for Auburn sports overall, when we talk about the whole look of it. WT says, caught me off guard that it's so early, but I saw it posted and jumped on. Thanks for adjusting and being here, Bucky. So you're the first time I've said Bucky tonight. I will be passing at Bucky's later this evening and several times this week. But it won't be the Auburn one. Sad to say. Kenneth, did the softball team beat Alabama? The answer is they beat them twice out of 3. So they won the series. I saw some discussion about that on social media this week. The rankings came out and there was some discussions like, I think it was LSU and Alabama that they won the series against, and they're still ranked lower than them. Such is life of being an Auburn fan. We're always underestimated. And when we're underestimated, we seem to overachieve big time. I don't want to get on a limb here and act like I know this softball team back and forth, but it is starting to feel like they're building a little bit of steam heading towards the end of the season here. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when they get there. If baseball kind of stays where they are, it's going to be harder and harder to get in the postseason. Softball may be the thing that kind of gives us something to look for. But to answer your question, Kenneth, yes, softball beat Alabama, which is always good to do. I want to talk about other victories over Alabama officially today, and you want to talk about transfer portal stuff. Women's basketball has been apparently nonstop taking advantage of the transfer portal. Nonstop. And they stole one from Alabama. Now, as course as every Alabama fan does and says whenever something like this happens, oh, we didn't want them anyway. Yeah, of course, everybody does that for any reverse situation. But we stole one from Alabama. She saw the light, and they even addressed that as much in a social media post. I don't have her name memorized off the top of my head, but we all make mistakes. It's only a matter of what you do with those mistakes going forward. And she chose the good side going forward. So happy to see that. So when we were mentioning the transfer portal earlier, how it was kind of slow-ish from what we expected for the big sports, women's basketball's been killing it. Auburn sports always does seem to do its best when it's underestimated. I don't know what that is, right? We always, football all the way down to equestrian. Well, equestrian, not so much, but we do our best when we're underestimated. Equestrian just dominates when we're out there on the field. But yes, it does seem to happen a lot. And we also, for whatever reason, tend to play down to our competition or up to the competition. It's almost like the challenge drives us, but the expected win bores us to the point where we downplay it and don't do what we need to do. I hope that is a trend that in whatever sport we're talking about does not continue into the future, because boy, howdy, would it be nice just to put some people away. We say that, and then, we don't want to become apathetic like Alabama fans at football and not actually show up, or Ole Miss fans who hardly ever have sustained success and still won't show up for a football game because there are too much partying going on out in the Grove this year. So yes, we do tend to be underestimated and overachieve all at the same time in the same breath. Corey Williams, bounce around to that topic. Anybody got any feelings about that hire? I know that we mainly focus, especially in basketball, on the assistant coaches, the head coaches, and same would be for football too. But I really like the hire the more I look at it. I'm also intrigued with the Wes Flanagan situation. Coach Pearl was asked at the Ambush event here in Atlanta, the alumni event, where they came to speak about that. And, I guess we can all read into what we want, but it was a very short, sweet, to the point response, very formal, positively formal addressing of the question. So read into that what you will. I did find it odd that if his son is still considering staying, that he also would decide to leave. I found that very interesting. They need to leave us last in the SEC, and then we kill it when we come to fall. Now, baseball had that done to them this year, and it's kind of proven to be at least somewhat true. So I don't know if I like that all the time. WT says, love the hire of Corey Williams. I think it's going to be one that's really good. It's a guy that's been a head coach before. I always wonder about these things. We all know that Coach Pearl, before Alan Green, our former athletic director, left, signed him to a lifelong contract. What does that mean for the future? I would imagine conversations, stipulations were discussed for how the program is going to be handled, who's going to be handling it going forward, aka his son. So I wonder how Corey Williams sees that. Is he a guy that's content being an assistant coach, or does he want a head coaching job? Could he find himself in contention for the Auburn head coaching job? Hopefully many, 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 many years from now. Either way, he seems to be a pretty good assistant, and seems like he's going to fit right in. I love doing, if you haven't, check out the video where I kind of give you 10 facts to know about him. He seems to really fit the billing for what Auburn needs and just fits Auburn in general. And I think it's easy for me to sell myself and maybe sell you guys on that too. But I try to really dig into some of this stuff and think about these things. And I really like the hire. WT ask, recruiting news. Any news on the Notre Dame quarterback Tyler Buchner having interest in Auburn? I saw a few articles mentioning us. I will tell you this. You are going to see, because it is so slow, anybody who even mentions and whiffs, I might look at Auburn, you're going to see articles and stuff written about it because it's so slow right now. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that he's not looking and not considering Auburn. I barely remember Tyler Buchner from last season. Barely. I think I watched one game, and it was a very up and down game for him. But yeah, obviously we all know that Coach Freeze is open to the possibility of anybody coming in and helping this team. I'm just not putting a lot of smoke in any quarterback news until I really when I start seeing some visits happen, then I'll take a look at it. That'll be when I start looking at it. Kind of answering your question, Andrew. I think I don't necessarily like the question, Andrew. I don't necessarily think we are going to pick one up. I think fans need to get used to the idea of having one of the quarterbacks that are here be the quarterback. Now, as Coach Freeze has said, as I've echoed to a fault, if someone comes in and wants to be here, fits the culture, and can help him, then he'll be here. But until that, there's really, it doesn't seem to be a very clear path towards somebody. And that's the boring answer. And I know that's probably maybe why you stopped by, but no matter what anybody tells you right now, it doesn't seem like there's a clear direction one way or the other. He lost his starting spot due to a shoulder injury. Yeah, I didn't follow him much after that. But he's a new guy into the quarterback, so there's at least a little bit of new interest about that. Seems like the only name out there is going to be, Andrew Grayson McCall, as everybody is still convinced he's going to be, the guy coming at some point to Auburn. You heard he was in Tuscaloosa today. Well, we hear a lot of things, don't we? I mean, if he wants to go to Tuscaloosa and see, a nice football stadium and, a great history there, but outside of that, sure. I for the life of me, and I know I'm biased, I get it, will never understand what people see in Tuscaloosa. Never. At least Auburn's pretty. Just being honest. I mean, at least it's, at least it's pretty. What about wide receivers? That is an area that it seems like there's at least some movement around. That TCU guy, I know there's been a lot of offers thrown out, but not a lot of substance moving forward outside. I think the GCU guy is coming for a visit. Is that correct? Andrew, I'll give you, this is probably where I lose you as a viewer too, so sorry. I am not a big recruiting person. I follow it for the purposes of having something to talk about here, but I really only focus on the guys when they arrive here. That's frank. I learned a long time ago not to put my happiness in the same area as what the decisions of 18-year-olds and now transfer portal guys do. So that's why you won't see me focusing on that a lot, but we can obviously talk about it. But I do think wide receivers is an area where there seems to be at least a little bit of something churning. I say this, I'm content if we get an improvement at quarterback. No sense in grabbing a name that doesn't fit or it doesn't work out. Yeah, I like that approach. It seems that what Coach Freeze is, trying to accomplish here. It also feels to me like maybe, I go through different days where this whole Grayson McCall thing seems like it may have some legs to it, but then the other day I wake up and I'm like, nah, it's just message board speculation. I don't know. Appreciate you understanding that. I mean, we're still going to talk about it here. Don't get me wrong, but you're just not going to get a lot of inside information. Every once in a while, I'll get a little nugget here and there, but I'm not that type of person. Any transfer quarterback had better be super wow, or else no one else is going for them. I don't get the feeling that there's a lot of quarterbacks out there anymore that everybody's just like, wow about. Obviously, a lot of that took place in, the very end of the season, bowl season type of thing, as bowls were wrapping up. That wave of just like, wow, quarterback seems to have gone and passed. And yeah, I really, really think this could be just a holding pattern year at this position. That is not me saying phone in this year at all. No. That is not what I'm saying. I am just simply saying that I think a lot of people are putting their happiness stock in this transfer quarterback situation when there's a lot of other good things to be excited about that maybe can be built around an up and comer or hold on for the future at quarterback. Whether that's somebody developing or somebody else coming in that's coming down the line. Well, this Walker White kid seems to have what it takes, speculation-wise. It's committed to us. Seems very sold out to be an Auburn Tiger. I like what I'm hearing from him. So that looks intriguing to me. Once I gave up my obsession with recruiting, my football happiness grew exponentially. Isn't that funny, WT? Isn't it funny how that happens? I know it seems stupid, but when you stop going on these message boards, and hear me when I say this, there are people that do a great job on that are actually like, beat writers and stuff like that follow this stuff, and it's valuable information. but it becomes just sickeningly obsessive sometimes. And you can really tell those people that spend way too much time on this. I was one of them, so I can say that. So yeah, let go of the recruiting a little bit, and you'll be surprised how much happier as a person you'll be. Don't let it go of it all the way because it's important. I think when you say that, people think you're saying that recruiting's not important. Oh, no, it is. But just wait till they get here. You're not monopolizing the chat. To monopolize it, you'd have to, we'd have to have a lot more commentating going on. I figured we'd have like a smaller crowd tonight because of the time change and things like that. But it is the slow period too. This is the time last year too where things just like I said when I posted on my personal Twitter account this week that we've reached the dead period outside of following those other sports, that people have just started to check out for the year. There's graduations coming up, Auburn included, end of school, summer plans starting to kick into gear. People are really turning that Auburn dial that's been turned on for so long all year is starting. If it was at 100, probably about mid-March when things started not going so well for basketball, kind of got dialed back to maybe like 85 if it was at 100, when they petered out down to 75. And then after spring football got done and the initial hype of that transfer portal didn't give immediate gratification, that thing got turned down to like 50. It'll never be 0 or much lower than 50, but we have reached the point where people are like, I see Auburn content, unless it's for like a big commit or a big news story or something like that. But I don't think there's going to be much of that. Oh, one interesting thing that I just thought about from the ambush event this past week here in Atlanta. I did not attend, but saw the same things you all saw. Coach Pearl said, I'm reminded that we're going to be in the Holiday Hoops Giving event again this year. And he hinted at, did not say who, a fun opponent. There's been some pretty good match. The Nebraska matchup 2 years ago was just a wipe the floor with them. But that Memphis matchup was a really good one here this past season. Not in our favor, but it was still a good matchup. So I wonder who that's going to be here. I've really, really enjoyed prioritizing going to that game as my one game each year that I'm guaranteed to go to. Because the tickets are more and more expensive these days. So I'm just going to plan to go to that one if they keep playing. If they keep coming to Atlanta, I'm going to keep showing up because those are some good matchups. And I think if I remember correctly, you buy session tickets similar to the NCAA tournament, so you can stay for other games if you want to. So if you're an Auburn basketball fan, I would recommend trying to come to the Atlanta one. Because tickets are getting harder and harder to get, pricier and pricier at Neville Arena. Atlanta's not too far of a drive, depending on, most of us are, I shouldn't say most of us, a lot of the Auburn fan base are centralized in the vicinity of Atlanta. It's a good place to come to see an Auburn basketball team play against good teams and do some other things. Here I am selling Atlanta for some reason. Surely it's not because I live outside of Atlanta, but anyway, I did think about going to the ambush event, but not much. I didn't put a lot of effort in towards that. We had a very busy week here. Part of the reason why we're doing this a little bit earlier. And I figured it was one more thing that I didn't need to add to my list this week. I can't remember where let's see if I can look it up real quick so you guys will know the Auburn ambush events. So you guys will know. Maybe one's coming to your part of town. I think Birmingham, I think Columbus, and Montgomery. Was that one? Make sure you guys know. Here we go. Oh, I was off by one. Actually, off a little bit. All right, so they just did the Atlanta one on the 25th. That was this week. Up next is Huntsville. Big Auburn area. A lot of engineering up there. A lot of All those type of Auburn people are going to be up there. And if you watched the baseball game that they played at the Trash Panel Stadium earlier this season, you could see the contingency of Auburn fans that live in that area. So the 27th will be Huntsville. The 16th of May will be Nashville. And then a day later, West Georgia, which I take to mean Columbus-ish. That will be a 17th, May 17th. So those are your opportunities to go and see the Tigers. See Coach Pearl, see Coach Freeze. Looks like Greg Williams came to Atlanta. Andy Burcham was there. Who else was there? Was it Nick Kleinard, the golf coach? I can't remember. There were a few other dignitaries, so to speak, that showed up at these events. But there you can go to the Auburn Alumni Association to get your information about that. It seems like a good event. I think you get dinner and stuff like that. It seems like it may be worth the time and investment and money. Meet the coaches. It's not very often that you get them not, surrounded and jam-packed. So if that's a big thing for you, that might be a good opportunity for you to support the Alumni Association and go meet the coaches. Huntsville, West Georgia / Columbus, Nashville up next. Atlanta's already done. I'm surprised they're not doing like a Mobile one, because if you think about it, so you got Atlanta, and that'll draw in North Carolina, all the Carolinas, all that stuff. West Georgia is essentially home base of Auburn, and surrounding areas, maybe even encompasses Montgomery a little bit too. So that's probably why they didn't do one there. Huntsville can draw in Birmingham. Nashville draws up even further. Those two are kind of close too, think about it. So I'm surprised they didn't just do one in Montgomery, but it feels like Mobile would be a good place for another one. I can't remember if they rotate them every single year or not. But yeah, so there you go. There's my pitch for you all to attend an Auburn Ambush event this season if you want to. I'm not paid by the university. It'd be nice to be, but yeah. All right, what else is on you guys' mind tonight? If you got something that you want us to hit that we haven't yet, a topic that you'd like to talk about, you can either call in or post it in the chat. Let me remind you of a few things here. Our friends at allthingsauburn.net. You need to check them out if you're planning to come stay at Auburn, especially. Yes, they are a place for you to stay, but Miss Tanya is one of the most awesome Auburn ladies I've ever known. And she will not only help you get set up to have a place to stay at Auburn, they operate out of the Auburn Game Day Center right there behind Mama Goldberg's, but she will also make sure you're taken care of and have a very whole and complete Auburn experience, which is what we're all about here. So allthingsauburn.net. Check them out if you can. They are the ones that bring you the phone line every single week if you want to take advantage of it. Okay, what else haven't we hit here? Going through some of the notes that we haven't even talked about the draft. Let's talk about that a little bit. How's everybody feel about the draft? I know it's not the most exciting thing out there right now for Auburn fans. We got a few people that are going to go in this thing. Where do you think they fall? Any opinions on that? Would love to hear some of that right now. Gracie's here. Good to see you, Gracie. Auburn basketball starting lineup. Point guard, Tyron Lawrence. Who's that? Don't know who that is. Shooting guard, Denver Jones. Small forward, I should say. Jalen Tyson. Power forward, Matthew Cleveland. Center, question, unknown to transfer. Well, you're disregarding a few people that are still here, probably coming back, and assuming some people are going to commit that haven't commit yet. I would adjust, if you just wanted me to say a different, a counter one to that, I would say Aiden Holloway or Trey Donaldson, either or, at point guard. I think Denver Jones is probably going to get a start. It's a high priority to start there if he earns it. I'm not going to put any stock in Jalen Tyson right now until things start moving that way. So I'm going to say, right now, the way things stand, Alan Flanagan, or actually, let me think that through. / Chaney Johnson, power forward, Jalen Williams, because he's him. Jalen Williams. That I so hope we're getting him for another year. I'm so excited for that kid. I think a lot of people, they'll leave early and they're not quite ready. And I'm not saying Jalen's not that, but I just think one more year, use that extra year, and you never know what he can pull off. And then Janai Broom. I think that'll be your starting lineup as it stands right now. Tyren is being followed by Auburn basketball. Vandy's starting point guard in the portal. Just because they're following doesn't mean anything. I promise you. Just remember that. We read too much into things sometimes. But maybe, I mean, it might happen. But don't read into it just because of that. Broom is not necessarily gone. Neither is Dylan. But if they get good evaluations and want to go, I wish them the best, and I'm going to root for them. But I'm selfishly hoping and believing that they're going to come back right now. That's kind of how I feel about it. I will say this, that if we lose Janai, we really have got to find a big man to replace him, because I think we're going to be a little bit thin. You lose Yawan, Babatunde. I know Babatunde didn't play a whole lot, but still. And then, if Jalen goes too, whew, man. Yeah. But all these other guys are still all here right now. All right, I asked about the NFL draft. Anybody got any thoughts or opinions about that coming up tomorrow? I think at one point we were vying for maybe a first round pick, but I think Derek Hall, who would have been that, has started to slide back just a little bit. WT, the only thing that I care about the draft is who my Miami Dolphins will pick. How you doing with having a Bama quarterback as your guy? I have no interest in where Auburn football players go if it's not my team. See, I'm the complete opposite. I do not have an NFL team anymore. Now, historically, I'm a Packers fan, and I was raised that way. So I will always have an affinity toward them. But two things that the Packers did to me over the last few years of my life is they started drafting way too many Alabama players, and they passed up on Jason Campbell. Now, it worked out for them for several years because they got this Aaron Rodgers guy. They got a Super Bowl out of it, but I'll never forgive them for that. So I could have had at my childhood team Jason Campbell being the quarterback. Man, that would have been sweet. That would have been sweet. So I follow the guys from our team. I am an Auburn guy. I am not a huge pro sports guy. I really follow our guys, but the Braves are probably the only thing that I really get involved with at pro level. Hall low first round, second round. That's probably a fair assessment, Gracie. I think if you read the articles that are written, stuff like that, it feels like he's slid to high likely early second round. But I had high hopes that he would get a late first round, and maybe he still will. There doesn't seem to be that late magic that was happening for like a Noah Igbenogany of like, oh no, he's going last pick, first round. Tank goes third round, in my opinion. I hope that you're probably right, Ronnie. It's probably third or lower, and it shouldn't be. He was underutilized, but also maybe even not underutilized is the right word. It was not afforded at certain points in his career at Auburn the opportunity to showcase exactly how dominant and how good he is. And with them having such a low, you got to be an outstanding running back. So it sounds like Bijan Robinson of Texas is going to be those upper echelon of running backs in the draft. Is A-Chain a wide receiver or running back? Either way, he's not finding himself in that category for whatever reason. Some of them may be out of his control. So third round, yeah. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm just hoping some team will see what he was able to accomplish given what he had to work with during his time here. It's one of those questions for Tank Bigsby. What would his story have been like had he been here during a different era? Put Tank Bigsby with the offensive line that Michael Dyer had. And a lot of people, I had this discussion with someone recently. They didn't think that offensive line was that good. I'm like, no, that was a pretty good offensive lineman. Maybe not one of the best. It was pretty dang good, though. Opened up some holes for Michael Dyer and Cam Newton. Now, Cam Newton opens up his own holes, but he still had to be given some daylight to work with. So I think Tank is going to suffer because of what he had to deal with while he was here. WT giving us some insight into his NFL fandom. I grew up in South Florida before there were any other pro teams other than the Dolphins. I have no problem with Tua being the quarterback as long as he can stay healthy. See, I would have a problem with him being my quarterback, period. But that's just me. I'm petty. That's why I can't be. This is why I struggle being a pro fan. I can never break out of, I just got too much Auburn in me, is the best way to say it. Yeah, there's just too much Auburn in me for that. So Tank, Derek, Owen Papo, and Colby Wooden. I really don't know what to do with the two of those. Who would go first? I've literally said it both ways to different people. Part of me feels like it could go, excuse me, either or. Who goes first? It's earlier, but they're doing this time. But apparently I'm tired. So, yeah. And then the question becomes, is anybody else going to get drafted? It doesn't look high likelihood, but, there could be someone who sneaks in there real late. Probably John Samuel Shanker is your best one to do that. I think he would be a good, I forget how tall he is, but a good small receiving tight end or just a receiver in the NFL. Probably not all that fast, but I would imagine he can, he can fit whatever they need for him to do. Shedrick Jackson had a really great combine and really, really helped himself. Was it enough to get him drafted? I don't know. Those are really the main two where I look at them and go, is there an outside chance that they can sneak into that draft? I really, really hope so for the two of their sake. I really do, but I don't know that it's going to happen. So my best estimation is tomorrow night you will, I'm just going to throw a guess out there. You won't see an Auburn guy drafted. If it is, it'll be real late. But things could get real interesting because they'll do the first night will be the first round. The second night or day will be rounds 2, 3, and 4, I believe. No, 2 and 3. And then the third day, because they'll go all day, will be 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I would imagine you're going to see no one tomorrow night. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but that's probably just throwing out guesses here. I then think that you're going to see probably a very exciting first round or part of the third round for Auburn with Derek and Tank. And then the next day, you're going to see Colby. You're going to see Owen. Maybe a Shedrick. Maybe a John Samuel Shanker. So to me, I think Auburn's expectation is to get 4 drafted. If they draft 5, I think given everything, it's probably an overachievement for what the expectations were for them. But hopefully that's going to start changing, and we'll send in lots and lots and lots of people into the NFL draft under Freeze. What do you guys think? Anybody else on the team currently that you would look to for next year's draft? Anybody stick out that probably has the best opportunity going forward? I'm struggling to think who that might be. Could be somebody who just got here. If Nick Mardner comes out as a big wide receiver option for us, which he is a big guy, well, measurables wise, like length wise, then maybe he's someone that finds it there. It's been a while since Auburn has had a really good wide receiver. Not that long, actually. Now I think about Anthony Schwartz got drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 2nd round, I believe. That's correct, yeah. And then obviously Darius Slayton. I can't remember, did he get drafted or picked up? I think he got picked up, but has made a name for himself. So those are like Auburn's 2 wide receivers of recent times that have really made a name for themselves. And it's time that we start establishing more of a pipeline there. I think Mardner probably has a good opportunity to do that. Depends on what we can do with some of these other names like Camden Brown and Lanning King, even though he's technically a tight end. But I think it's high time we get a super legitimate wide receiver into the NFL and start building up a track record of getting people there. And that'll start attracting a few much more. There we go. Thank you, Ronnie. Duh. That's your number one pick for us right there. Not saying number one overall. I'm just saying DJ James seems. I know when I bring his name up, it instantly bristles everybody's whiskers or whatever you want to say, or the hairs on the back of their neck. Harsin had a few good things that he did. He brought in DJ James. And we can thank him for that. And it was one of his really good gets in the transfer portal. Bringing old DJ James over here and locking down looks very legitimate. So I think you're probably right, Ronnie. He's probably the guy that's Auburn's best opportunity to get drafted the highest when we look at things in a way too early lens. Coach Freeze will have us with all-star wide receivers soon enough. Maybe so. Maybe so. You know, Evan Ingram, Laquan Treadwell. Like I'm missing another one. Are names that I know from the past with him that I think all got drafted. Now, what happened to Laquan Treadwell? Did he get into trouble? Evan Ingram, I know, is still there. Now, Evan was kind of a tight end hybrid, and I think he's still kind of a tight end hybrid there. But still, receivers, tight ends, whatever. Rivaldo Fairweather. It's a guy who's already highly regarded, the best tight end out of the transfer portal. That could be one. So we could have a very interesting draft class next year. It'll be a lot of guys, I think, that rise up that we weren't really paying attention to because they're in a new system being utilized different ways. But DJ James, Ronnie, who said it, I agree. It should be the guy that you look to right now and go, that's the one that we're going to be paying attention to next year. And then maybe like a Rivaldo Fairweather is probably someone. I'm trying to think defensively. Marcus Harris has a good year, maybe. Oh, I don't know if he wants to. I'm really high on this Elijah McAllister guy out of Vanderbilt. I think he's going to have a good year. He's going to be a leader on this team in many ways, but I think he's going to have a good on the field year too. He might be someone that maybe doesn't go first, second, third round, but finds himself solidified there in the mid-range and finds a spot in the NFL. I would like our cornerback, safety, defensive back pipeline to continue. That started with Malzahn, maintained through Harsin, maintained through Hugh. The next in line for that is going to be DJ James after this. We don't have one this year, so that breaks the chain of that, unfortunately. Things like every year we were putting somebody in the draft. It's going to break it now, but we can kind of skip a year and keep going with DJ James, and who knows after. Nehemiah is going to come out next year too. I think this is his last year. He's 5th year of eligibility. So he'll be part of that as well, but DJ James is definitely the guy that we're going to be looking towards. So it'll be interesting to have, it's not as easy to do, but had like a retrospective look about what we're talking about right now, a year from now. Somebody wants to do the legwork, save this and say, this is what you were saying last year about this time. Be my guest. Jason Jones could reach mid potential. Yeah, that's probably a good pick to do well. So DJ, Jason, Elijah McAllister, Nehemiah. Yeah, that's probably your best defensive guys. Oscar Chapman, punter, is technically a defensive guy at special teams, but they're a defensive special teams. I think he's only a junior, if I'm correct. And if so, I don't think he would leave early, but he would be a guy. He's got a good leg on him. So we talked, I mean, on the offensive side, I don't think we'll have a legitimate quarterback unless some transfer comes in for 1 year and just lights it up, Cam Newton, which would be nice, right? Tight ends and wide receivers, running backs. Jarquez, we know that he's just going to light it up, but will he light it up enough to get drafted? I don't know. Offensive lineman, that actually may be an area where you see some Auburn make some waves. These 1 year, 2 year transfers that come in. And I think Gracie just brought some of those. Wade, Britton, and Jones. Got a nice list here. Body on running back, so that may be your running back. So what you may find here is a group, a really solid draft class for Auburn next year. Maybe nobody too many in the first and second round, but just taking over the rest of the draft. And so it could be a really good crop of first inserts into the NFL from the freeze regime, because this is still the responsibility of Harsin at this point. WT is a good question. I always enjoy these questions on this night because it's Auburn related, but it's still about pull curtain behind the scenes. So if you look on my little picture here, you can see I've got Tumors, Caddy, and I guess that should be freeze right there. SUNY, Sanford, Aubie, Pearl, and then Tiger Walk. I've thought about putting him in there, but there's no reason not to, or I've avoided it. It's just I kind of like the way it looks right now. But SUNY is about to not be here. Caddy is not the interim head coach anymore. I just kind of like the way it looks. I might put Hugh in there. There's no reason not to. It's a good question though. McCall will be in the NFL, you're saying, if he comes to Auburn, since he's a 5th-year guy. Yeah. If. And I'm not putting a lot of stock in that until something starts to turn. So I'm more so talking about what we know. Let's work with what we know. I think we got a lot of Auburn fans making decisions about what they hope as opposed to what we know. Let's work with the guys that we know that are here right now. McCall, if he gets here, we'll start adding him to this conversations, but I just don't see any reason to add him right now. Keep hearing that his academic stuff got figured out. He's coming at the very end of summer. Seems like a pipe dream. It seems very much like the Devin Cambridge stuff. And remember how many people were on here like, oh, he's coming. I think he took a visit back. But why wouldn't you just come back to see where you just left, just to see some old friends? But he's at Oregon now. What's up with this Oregon-Auburn pipeline? To and from. This is weird. This is becoming the Auburn-Iowa State thing. Trading presidents, head coaches. We had players coming from Iowa State. I mean, that's just weird, man. It's just weird. Hope Bo does well this year. Do we claim Bo next year? If he, he'll go in the draft. How high is determined by if he stays healthy and how successful. If he duplicates what he did this year, I don't know of another quarterback out there that's going to have as better a time than him. Yep, agree. Small class this year, big class next year. Oregon is still mad about the national championship game. Wouldn't you be too? If you came within inches of having a better opportunity to win that game. But guess what? Michael Dyer was up. Doesn't matter. All right. We're going to start wrapping up here in just a few minutes. Final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals, get them in right now. Let me go ahead and remind you of a few things, especially for those that are here on YouTube. If you stay after, like meaning just as soon as we end, it should take you over or give you the option to head over to our next available live stream, which will be Sunday night, 9 Eastern time. Don't miss it. The Auburn Family Experience with Austin and myself, episode 33. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk Auburn culture. We're going to talk Auburn family stuff. It's all encompassing just like we are here on the E2C network. Don't miss that. Smash the like button on that page. Hit the notify me bell when you head over there. Even do it now if you can. I know it seems super early, but it'll help other people find us and be part of that show too. You can be a subscriber. You could be a channel member here on the YouTube channel for $1 a month. You could be a Booster Club member. These are some of the things you can do. There are others listed in the description for ways to help support our content. But the best thing you can do is be here, smash the like button, share button, whatever on social media, leave comments. And I know those are some of the small, simple things that you can do to help us on the channel. But those of you that are able to help us financially, because we are mainly listener supported right now, that is a humongous help. And we appreciate those that can. So check all those things out. And we appreciate our friends at All Things Auburn for bringing the phone link tonight, even though we didn't have any callers tonight. I kind of figured we wouldn't just because of the new time thing. So that's closed down for right now. All right. Final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Chris, thank you so much for the kind words. Is that the first comment tonight? Were you there lurking the entire time? It's fine. No worries. Let's see here. What other comments? Gracie asks, why would Bo Nix not come back? We have O-line this year. He may not be able to. I don't know what his stipulations around his transfer thing. Why would you come back to a place where a large portion of the fan base was really awful to you for really stupid reasons, uninformed reasons? And to me, you graduated and you kind of, as much as I wanted to see the Bo Nix story end at Auburn, I think given everything that happened, this is the best case scenario for both parties. And it limited the damage, and I'm happy that he's having success. And hoping that he continues to have success and comes back to Auburn at some point. You can't claim Bo since he did all his magic at another school. Now, he had some magic here too, my friend. A few games of magic, a few non-magical moments too. Just being honest. And I love the kid. Yeah. I mean, they're going to claim him, and he's going to, it'll be interesting to see when he's in the NFL. If he's in the NFL, I assume he will be, when they do the, lineup announcement, if he ever gets to start. Bo Nix, University of or Auburn University. He'll probably say Oregon. And don't be offended if he does. Freeze's offense would be perfect for Bo. I think a lot of people will never admit they want him back. Those were the ones that were the most awful to him. Thank you guys so much for the kind words. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I mean that. Thank you so much for being here on Wednesday nights. I'll see you again a week from now, back at the regular time. No anticipation of changing that, but I wanted to make sure we got this done tonight. And I hope we see you on the Auburn the 9 o'clock Sunday night show for the live recording of the Auburn Experience with Austin and myself. Until I talk to you guys again, you guys stay safe and War Eagle.